Hey there, Fully Fitters. This is Coach AJ, and you're watching a new episode of Living Fully Fit. As we continue our series in Trim the Fat, we're going to look at how we trim our finances. How do we do that? In the world around us right now, we're going through an economic crisis all around the world, especially in our country. There are many of you that watch this that either yourself or you know someone who's dealing with some financial issues, who's having a hard time paying their bills. But even before the crisis, maybe you know someone that's like that anyways. Or maybe you're like that. Maybe you're the kind of person who lives paycheck to paycheck, or exceeds what they should be spending on, exceeds their budget every month, and you're trying to frantically make it work at the end of the month. Either way, we have bad habits. We've built bad habits in our lifestyle. A lot of times we try to compare ourselves to someone else, or we want the next new thing. That's not what's best for us, if you think about it. Again, how do we trim the fat of our finances? How do we use our finances in a way that will not only invest in the now, but will invest in our future? How we develop habits now will help invest and grow. That way we have something to show for our lives. Instead of buying so many consumables, which we tend to do, we buy so many consumables, spend our money on consumable things that don't last, that don't appreciate in value, that we have really nothing to show for it later on. Now, I'm going to look at this little aspect here. I want you to really think about this and ask yourself an honest question. How do you spend your money? When was the last time you actually budgeted or rebudgeted or reviewed your budget? Because in all reality, what it boils down to is our numbers. Do we spend more than we make? That's the first question to ask. Do we spend more than we make? If that's yes, that's your first problem right there. You need to create a budget that works for you, for what you make. And if you spend more than you make, you have to do one or two things. Either make more money or spend less. It's a simple principle in all reality. So make more or spend less. But it starts off by looking at your budget, looking at your numbers. Maybe it takes you using a software like Quicken or creating a spreadsheet on Excel and kind of comparing what you make versus what you spend. And then after you do that, look at what you spend your money on. What are the what's that you don't need? Now, first make a column of your needs. What are your needs? Like, obviously needs is place to live, transportation, food, clothing, basic needs, right? And then make another column of wants, desires, things that you don't necessarily need, but you like to have, you want, you enjoy. Like, I would say if you are really struggling financially, maybe you need to cut the cable. If you're really struggling financially, maybe you should eat out less. Maybe if you're really struggling financially, don't buy the next brand new video game that comes out. But you see that often. When I first joined the Army, I remember one of the first briefs I got as a junior soldier was about how you manage money. And granted, I joined the Army when I was 31, so I was, already seasoned human being, an adult that knew, hey, I shouldn't spend money like that. I shouldn't go buy an expensive car that I can't afford and with a 30% interest rate, right? That's common sense. But a lot of these young soldiers would come in and they would get caught up with the green-eyed monster of wanting to compare with someone else and get the biggest thing, get the new Jeep or the truck or the motorcycle, and they go into debt. And they spend this amazing amount of money and a humongous amount of interest, and they're broke and need assistance. You saw that so often. And we see that in our culture as a whole. We're always wanting to one-up each other or one-up ourselves. Well, like, the new Xbox is out, I have to have that. Do you have to have it? It's something you want, but do you have to have it? I have to go out to eat, I have to have this meal. Yes, you want it, but you don't have to have that meal. You can save up and treat yourself occasionally when you can afford it, but why go into debt over that? And that's the other thing. Cut the debt. Stop the debt spending. Now there's different kinds of debt. There's debt that's good debt, and there's debt that's just really bad debt, right? And you're probably thinking, well, which one is good? Because no debt is really good. And you're right, no debt is really ever good. But there is certain kinds of debt that doesn't fully affect your lifestyle to a very negative way. The good kind of debt would be like your vehicle. You're gonna have debt with your vehicle. Now granted, in moderation, of course, don't have a 35% interest rate for your vehicle. That's just ridiculous. You're paying way too much for your vehicle. Get something you can afford. Get a vehicle that can take you from point A to point B in a safe way, right? Also, your home. Again, you want a home that you can afford, you can enjoy. That's a kind of debt that's okay to own. It's okay to have that kind of debt. That's a debt that kind of helps if you own a home, you appreciate in value, depending on the market and everything. So those kind of things. The debt that you should have in abundance is credit card debt, right? Which a lot of people have today. They max out one credit card, they use another credit card. And it's always for something that just isn't really sustainable. It isn't something that's gonna appreciate in value. Usually it's for something as silly as a new pair of shoes, or a steak dinner, or a cup of coffee. And if you think about that, for instance, I'll give an example here. You buy that steak dinner for $25 on that credit card. And let's say you don't pay that credit card off at the end of the month, which you probably should to help build your credit, but also, be smart, right? And that way you don't have to pay the interest, because that $25 steak just became a $45 steak because of interest. See what I'm getting here? Cut the debt. Don't spend what you don't have. I live in this principle that if I don't have that money in my checking account or savings account, I'm not gonna put it on my credit card, because that is what is going to get you in trouble so quickly, so fast, is you're going to just max that out. You're going to be 20 grand in debt, in credit card debt, and you don't have 20 grand in your checking and savings. And you're going to have this monster lurking over your shoulder that's going to follow you for life if you don't take over now. And I'm not saying because you're in debt, you can't get out of debt. There are ways to do that properly and rightly. Again, I would recommend not trying to go bankrupt. There are great programs out there that can help assist you in your issues with debt. There's great debt consolidation firms. Again, do your history, look it up, look up the research and the reviews, go through good companies, good reputable companies. Or use the good Dave Ramsey snowball effect, pay one debt off and use that money to use monthly to pay the next debt off, and so on and so forth. But either way, get rid of that debt. That debt monster is going to kill you. And then I would say also look at how you can save. Save your money. Put some money aside. I would say live at a good principle. I would say the best principle to live by is use 80% of your pay. 80%, okay? You should live off of 80% of your pay. 10% put in savings, another 10% invest in something, or give, or whatever you want to do with that. For some of you, it's given to your church or given to a cause, whatever it is, or investing in your future. But either way, use the other 20% on something else, on investing in the future or charity or a cause. Either way, you should live off 80% of your pay, and the rest of the 20 to put away in savings, investment, and charity. That's what I think is a great map and guideline we should live by. Now granted, I don't have all the answers, but I think it's a great starting point. Once you start looking at your budget in that aspect and start looking at the numbers and get smart about your money, then you're not going to live paycheck to paycheck. Then you're not going to start getting stressed out at the end of the month about how you're going to pay that rent. And then I would say with that, when you have that savings, when you have that investment, always have a backup plan. For me, my example, I have a cushion. So my checking account, I keep about $3,000 of a cushion in my checking account at all times. And that cushion is that way I don't tap into my savings. I don't tap into my investments. That cushion is if a rainy day happens, I could tap into that cushion in my checking account. That way I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. That way I'm not tapping in my savings. That way I'm not touching my credit cards. Now I use a credit card, but I pay it off at the end of the month. I use a credit card for gas, groceries, get some points, maybe get a good rewards card, but at the end of the month I pay it off. Irregardless, this whole idea of how we trim the fat in our finances is going to get us in a healthier mindset. Because again, finances affect us in so many ways. Finances will affect our mind, it affects our well-being, it affects our morale, but it affects our future and our children and our family, whatever you have, right? Once you get a hold of your finances and start focusing it in things that are going to be sustainable and investing in your future, I promise you, you're going to have a much healthier relationship with your significant other. You're going to be less stressed. You'll be able to focus more on other things, and it's going to take care of itself because you have a great process. But you have to start somewhere. Again, trim your finances. Get smart, get real, and be honest with yourself. Don't be in denial. Getting in denial isn't going to help you. Be honest. Say, yep, that's me. I need to look at my money. And once you get honest, get strict with it. I'm not saying be a cheapskate. I'm saying be frugal, be smart. Shop around. Use coupons. There's nothing wrong with that. Hit the sales, hit the deals. Don't fall into the trend that I have to have name brand thing, the most expensive thing, the most new thing, the most trendy thing. Because once you get into that mindset of doing that, you will always be in debt. You'll be chasing your tail all the time, and you will create such an unhealthy mental instability in your life that will affect and infect things around you. Anyways, I'm Coach AJ, and I hope this video helped you to get a starting point for your finances and how we trim the fat of our finances to live a healthier, more sustainable, and more optimal lifestyle. Thanks for watching. If you like what you watch, make sure to subscribe down below. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Sometimes these videos don't pertain to you. That's fine. But maybe you know someone that needs to hear this kind of message. Also, check me out on Facebook. I add new content all the time that helps you build a better, fully fit you or someone you know. Thanks for watching.